Alrighty, so today we're going to be producing a basic chair design in Blender. It's going to be a very quick tutorial, so I'm going to move through it quite quickly. It is based on the premise that you have watched that introduction to Blender, so you've got a bit of an idea about the G for grab, R for rotate, S for scale, our loop cut, our extrude, and how to apply material. So we're going to be kind of glossing over that in quite quickly, so hopefully you've watched that and you're kind of up to speed on that. So without further ado, let's get started. So going to click on General, we get ourselves our little basic box here. I'm going to G and Z to bring that up. Now I'm going to S and Z to kind of squash it down just that little bit. Now we're going to be working in a slightly different way this time. We're actually going to work with the faces instead of solid objects. So I'm going to hit Tab to go into my edit mode. Going to grab these two faces and just delete those faces. So you can kind of see you've got the makings of a chair already. So we're going to do a couple of things. Now this is quite a quick design, so we're going to just do a few things by eye to expedite the process. So basically just bringing this out, you're just going to bring this out a couple of notches. We're just going to make it 2 squares there. Now I'm going to select this side here as well. Going to hit back to my Y again, and I'm just going to drag that out by a couple of notches too. Now I'm going to grab this one here, and I'm going to drag this out. So see how that's dragging at a weird angle? I'm going to hit the Z button twice to lock it into place there. All right, so that's effectively it there. Working so far so good. We will now, I'm going to just add a couple of little loop cuts. One there and one there. And now, simple as that, we're basically ready to subdivide that. So I'm going to go back into my object mode. Going to click on my little spanner here, add modifier, subdivision surface. And I'm just going to bump up the resolution quite a lot there. All right, so you can kind of see you've pretty much got your chair done there. There's not that much more involved in it. There's a few little bits that you could probably seek to refine, just that little bit if you wish. But all we're going to really do is I'm going to grab this little node, and I just want to G and Z to kind of round that off a bit. I'm going to grab these ones, S and X to kind of shrink it in a bit. And that's effectively it. Now I'm just going to G and Y to kind of pull that back to kind of create just that slight reverse there. So we've basically got our little chair there, but as you can probably see, this chair is very, very fine. So we want to use a tool that I haven't introduced before, which is Solidify, a very basic tool. Basically, it just fattens out the a two-dimensional plane. So if we go into here and we go Add Modifier, we're going to look for the Solidify button there. And as you can see, if we zoom in, oops, too much. Yeah, it just gives that little bit of thickness to it. And that's all you really need. It just had that tiny amount of thickness. It's only a plastic chair. All right, so we're going to move on now. We're going to Shift A, and we're going to work now on the legs. So I've created a cube, so Shift A with cube. I'm going to S to shrink that down. Now this cube is actually only going to be a guide. So because we're going to want to make it sort of a trapezoid shape. So we're clicking here. Now we're going to click the cube and we're going to go into edit mode. We're going to click our little face select here, that one there, and S. So this is basically just going to inform the angles of the legs. So there's nothing more that this particularly needs to do. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to go Shift A, Mesh, and I'm going to create a cylinder for the legs. So S to shrink that down, S and Z to expand it back up. And I'm going to just click on this little X button over here to kind of square off my canvas. And again, you're just kind of doing this by eye. So we'll drag it over here. Now the legs are generally kind of got this curved taper, so we're going to go into our object mode. We're going to click the loop cut here, selecting it there. Now I'm just going to S to bring that out a bit. Now we're going to use this bevel tool here. So clicking on that, and you're going to click and drag to create a bevel. Now before you click away, you should have this little thing in the bottom left hand corner for bevel. You want to just bump up the segments. Not too much, maybe about 6. And if we click away now, you can see that it's created this really nice curve. So we're going to G to grab that now. And really, just by eye, I'm going to R for rotate. And all I want to do is just align it to the side here. So it's just running along the lines of the little trapezoid shape that we've made. Shift D. And then Y to duplicate, Shift D to duplicate, Y to rotate, then R again to rotate that way, G and Y. So that's not looking too bad. It's not absolutely perfect, but yeah, you can, if you've got a little bit more time, you could probably try to just do it a little bit more accurately. So R to rotate, so I've just gone into my front mode now, and I'm just going to angle that over this way. Now Shift D again, I've got them both selected, and then X, so Shift D was to duplicate, X was to drag it across, and then R, and I'm just going to line that up as well. G and X to kind of push it in place. Now there we go, we've basically got these squares here. Now as for the trapezoid, what we can do now is we can actually turn this trapezoid into the, I'm just going to shrink it down just that little bit, into the wires that are going to join these together. So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to go into my edit mode, and I'm going to use this knife tool here, and I'm going to click in the corner and click to that corner and then hit the enter button. I'm going to do the same, and basically all the way around I'm going to click around and create these little crosses. And when we change that to wireframe, that's going to create the little support cross wire crosses that are common with this chair design. So clicking on that one, clicking there. All right. So now all we need to do is we need to, grab the little bottom bits here, X to delete the edges there, that one there, holding Shift, and that one there, X to delete the edges again. All right, now with this one, we're going to go Add Modifier here, and I'm going to click on Wireframe, which is down the bottom here, and I'm going to jump the thickness to maybe 0.23 or 0.03 meters. All right, and you can basically see there you've got these nice little wireframes that have been created as well. All right, so now what we need to do is I'm going to Shift A to add a floor, a plane, yep. S to 2, maybe 2 again. And now I'm just going to select my whole chair, deselect the plane. I'm going to click on my little X, and I'm just going to drag it down with G and Z onto where the plane sits. Now it's time to go into our camera mode. This is when we start working on the materials and what it's going to look like as a finished render. So I'm clicking on the little go on this little sort of render button here. I'm clicking view, camera to view, and I'm going to basically just get myself a nice position there for my chair. I'm going to see we've just got the single light now, so I'm going to click on my little light here. I'm going to Shift D, and I'm just going to manually just drag a light across to kind of emulate that studio lighting. You can see some weird stuff's happening with this shadow here. That's because we're still in Eevee mode. So let's go into our little camera here, changing our render engine to cycles, and you'll see immediately you've got a much nicer looking render there. So basically from here, you can click on this. Most of these chairs are either white or black. So you can do that, but really you can pick any material you like. So let's just kind of pick an orange there, and I'm going to select these things. Now, if you like, you could grab a timber texture. That would look quite nice as well. That's pretty common with this sort of thing. I do these tutorials without necessarily needing to get textures or anything, so that it's all really your own work. So for the purpose of the exercise, I'm just going to make these like a dark grey. There we go. It's only made one, so hang on. I'm going to click that one. Going to add my little material there, or a dark brown. Kind of looks like timber anyway, really. You can have a bit of a play around with this. And with my wire, I'm just going to make that a black as well. So generally the wire's black there. Now there's so many more things you can do with this. So once you've got this chair, yeah, pick yourself your nice little angle. You can G and Z to kind of bring it down and make sure that the chair's kind of aligned and all looking nice and suave there. You can drop down your roughness as well to make it kind of look a bit more like a shiny plastic. So see how that's looking a little bit shinier. There's a couple of other cool things you can do. You can go up to your transmission now. You can make it a perfectly see-through chair, which I think is, yeah, going to be really effective too. And again, you could just drop your, so there you go. That's that kind of ghost chair. So a few different things you can do there, but we'll, I'll just back out of that. So that's effectively it. You've got yourself your chair. Moving forward from here, there's nothing really more that you need to do. You can keep experimenting, keep playing and refining, but really after that, you're going to go back to your little camera over here, drop your thresholds down to probably 128. You've got all your denoise and everything all sorted. You've got really nice studio lighting. Click on render, render image, and then you're done. So that's effectively the chair design. Good luck, have a bit of a play around, lots to learn here, and looking forward to seeing some amazing renders.